Good morning, everybody. It is, oh golly, I keep doing this. I think it's about the 26th today of November. I'm not sure, but it's Monday anyway. It is cold. I'm back in this lovely place, this beautiful place that I love coming to every now and then. It's been raining, as you all know, if you're in the UK, torrentially for quite a few days. It's been like the floods out there. I've just been hearing it and I've been experiencing it. So it's nice actually that the sun's come out this morning. I've had a bit of bad news the last few days. The house that we've been renting for a very long time, about 10 years, they're trying to take the house. The landlord is actually in prison. Sorry, I know that sounds a bit bleak, but yeah. My landlord's in prison. He's been in prison for a while and he's a really nice guy actually, but anyway, that's another story. And since he's been in prison, rates changed, and because he didn't know about it, because the person who was collecting his post was not really communicating anything to him or letting him know or opening the letters, he got into arrears. So a few months ago the house went up for taking and I showed up and said, look, you know, we're living in there, and it sort of seemed to settle things for a while, but it's back again, and so the house is coming up. I think, you know, everyone's, like I said in one of my videos, everyone's trying to claw back money, so bank are just, you know, they don't care that the landlord's in prison, and that's not their problem. They need their money, and he's obviously accrued some arrears and he can't sort out his finances properly from the inside, so that puts us in danger. Yeah, that's another thing. I don't mean to be depressing. I actually do want to encourage people here on YouTube. I just want to say to you all, started the channel just a few weeks ago, and I started with trying to do a script. I thought that might be a good idea just to keep me on track of whatever I'm talking about. But for me, it was a bit mechanical and it just didn't seem to work. And you could tell, if you look back at my first couple of videos, you can tell that I'm sort of like, I've just said like, and I did a video about that. I'm probably going to do it umpteen times. Anyway, you could see that I was being mechanical and I was pausing here and there because I was trying to look at this kind of teleprompter app thing. I think free-flowing is a bit better. So I've started with that bad news, but I still have hope. I've got hope about YouTube. I think it is annoying that a lot of these channels are popping up because people are just randomly speaking and who cares what they're saying really. But it is therapy. It's like a therapeutic thing to do. And I should have done it a long time ago. I mean, I've got like I said, I've got my singing channel. It's like sharing things, you could say, with a bunch of strangers. We're all strangers to each other. But it's nice, it kind of brings us close together. I've always been a socialite anyway. I've actually been too much of a socialite in my life. But this has taken it to another level, isn't it? Putting a video online where millions of people potentially could see it. I think we're kind of all getting a little bit desperate, I suppose, in the world at the moment. Who do we talk to? How do we make money? They're closing down so many different doors and avenues to do that. I think people who've already attained to stuff are not realising that we're in a different world. That's why they like, well, how did you get like this? And how did you end up not on the property ladder? Because life, it happens, and it just it's all caught up with me. I'm 52. I've lived more than some people, so I'm not going to complain. You know, everyone's got some sort of regret. I'm not sleeping on the street yet. I'm actually having a hot flush now because the sun's shining. Isn't it nice? Yay! What's encouraging? Well, I know I did my talk the other day on my life, and I think I need to really sit down and think about what parts of that I'm going to really share and what parts are maybe not beneficial to share. Years ago, I mean, I'm 52 now, so how old was I? Okay, I was slightly underage and I was working in a nightclub in central London. I ended up working in this karaoke bar, a Japanese karaoke bar. It was really lovely actually. Because I like singing, it was like a double whammy for me in a way. I kind of got to work and got to sing and got to socialise, all the things I like. And so I was working in a nightclub in central London. That's where I met this Christian girl. I'd been working there for about 6 years, something like that, 5 years. I wasted a lot of my life because I could have been studying, I could have been doing some real stuff, but there I was, getting paid cash in hand at the time, doing a lot of things not right, as a result probably of coming out of a not right life. But then again, I say that, but some people are brought up really well and they still do things that are not right. So swings and roundabouts. Look, I was in this nightclub and in walks this Christian girl, this Polish Christian girl. She was lovely, very, very sweet. And she starts telling everybody in the nightclub about Jesus. And you know, it's funny because I was brought up, like I said, I'm half Israeli. My mum was English, raised as a Catholic, but not forced in too much in that area. And my dad, Israeli, Jewish, but again, not forced in that area, liberal Israeli guy. And, you know, through an affair and what happened with them, as you saw in maybe the other video, they got together. And so anyway, I had these beliefs. I always had beliefs. My belief was ultimately in God. I never questioned belief in God. My dad used to give me these stories from the Bible. He used to sit there with a big joint of hash and read the Bible to me, read the Proverbs. And he used to say, I always make a joke, but he used to say, if you read the Proverbs, you'll never go wrong in life. You know, Solomon was the wisest man in the whole world, you know. He named all the animals, he spoke to them, you know. He'd give me these sort of stories from his own interpretation. Because of that, I had such an interest in God, I think, you know, that's what sparked it. So you see, God can use anybody, even somebody who's not doing the right things, like my dad wasn't. So I had a belief in God. I used to speak to God at night in my bed. I talked to God. I ended up doing loads of bad things as a teenager and just being a rebel and just being really stupid. But I always believed in God. So if people started insulting God and use God's name in vain and things like that, I'd always stop them and say, look guys, don't bring God into it. You know, we might, you know, not be good people or whatever, but don't talk about God like that. So I kind of was very defensive about God. And then anyway, over the years I'd hear street preachers and stuff, and I'd listen to them, and I'd always have time for them because they used to say to me, we're all sinners. And I'd say, I'm not a sinner really, because the only one I sin against is myself. You know, I might do bad things to myself, but I don't do bad things to others. So where am I going? You see, this is why I need a script. So I'm working in this nightclub. This Christian girl walks in, almost like God sent her, like an angel. And she comes in, she asks for a job, she starts talking to all the customers. But guess what she's talking about? She's talking about God. She's talking about Jesus to all the customers. And do they want to hear it? No, sir. They do not want to hear it. So eventually the boss gets wind of what she's doing. She's like evangelizing in a nightclub when you're supposed to be trying to make the club money by getting the customers to buy drinks and spend money in your club. So he eventually put her in the cloakroom downstairs to get her out of everybody's way. And she was so very sweet, and I used to really like our conversations, and she used to always be telling me about God, about Jesus particularly. And I didn't really understand the Jesus part because although my mum was raised a Catholic, she was not speaking about God. They were smoking hash, and you know, my dad was sort of basically dealing in it as well. And oh no, there's a creature. Oh my gosh, what is it? Oh. Anyway, yeah, it's gone, I hope. I do remember Dad talking to me, like I said, with the Bible, with his spliff. Anyway, so this girl, basically, when she was put down, I said basically, didn't I? When she was put into the cloakroom, I went down and visited her in the cloakroom. I used to talk to her all the time before work started, in my breaks. And she used to say to me, do you want to give your life to the Lord? And I said, well, I do want to give my life to the Lord, but I don't think God's going to accept me because I'm just not a good person. I don't do good things. I smoke, I drink, I do certain drugs. I did at the time. And she said, no, that's not true. God will take you just as you are. He will change you from the inside out. That's how God is. Yeah, and one night I just said, I would like to do that, but you know, I don't think God will accept me. And I prayed with her on the fire exit stairs on Cambridge Circus, central London, opposite Soho. And I prayed and I said, God, can you help me, you know, to know you? And I quit my cigarettes that very day. And my life began as a Christian. I was happy that God saved me from the life that I was living. So I do have to give God thanks. Fast forward again, many years being a Christian, times of getting burnt by other Christians even. I'm not going to be an enemy of God ever. So I have to be careful how I talk about his people, you know. But sometimes, of course, remembering that the people in churches are just people like me who are sinners, who are human beings who've got baggage, who are searching for God, and they make mistakes like we all do. And so sometimes they would just not be very nice, and I'd be so shocked because I was so used to how the world was, and coming inside Christendom thinking it would be different. And don't get me wrong, in some ways it is very different and it's very clean compared to the world. But sometimes you have rude awakenings and how people find out things about you and then just do very horrible things with the information they have, because I always wore my heart on my sleeve. So yeah, I probably talked too much early on, and sometimes I'd get stung. That faith hasn't gone away. I do believe in having faith in God, not faith in faith itself as a force. I don't think that's enough. I do believe that we're created in God's image. I don't believe that we're just an accident. Some planets were floating around and they just exploded, and we all came out of nothing. We sort of crawled out of some primordial soup. I fully believe that there's a creator. Times are shifting. People are being policed for their views. Everyone acts like they're so understanding of everybody else's opinions, but they're not. Have to kind of agree with the populace. I know I'd be seen as a conspiracy theorist, and the fact that I have a belief in God makes it even worse to some, like here she goes with her religiosity. But I don't mean to preach to anyone. Like I said on one of my videos, I've had a terrible couple of years, and I've questioned a lot of things. Not God, but just a lot of things about me. I thought I was a good person. I don't think I am a good person. I don't think any of us are really good. I think we're deluded if we think we're good. But do I try and do the right thing? Of course, yes. And I am a true empath. That's the reason why I suffer so much, because I always look at myself as wrong all the time. I can't simply enjoy life because I always feel I'm wrong about something. And I think it does come from some of my childhood trauma. For years, I've always felt like I'm being chased. So imagine if I am being chased. When I'm not being chased, I feel like I'm being chased. I'm always looking over my shoulder. I suppose because my parents, well, particularly my dad, were criminals, And so we got busted at times, and my dad would get arrested in front of me, and some East End guys once came and beat him up and, roughed him up in front of us, and it was just traumatic. Even though I thought I was strong for years, but it does take its toll on you. Somebody in the church once got wind of my life, my past life, because I'd spoken about it, I hadn't hidden it, and they used it against me. And actually I got reported to the social services because somebody decided to be such a good citizen and made up this stuff about me as if it was still ongoing, as if my life hadn't changed. It was so disgusting. Got investigated, and I nearly fell apart because, like I just said, I always feel like I'm running or somebody's chasing me, even when I'm living a decent life and my life has changed. So imagine when these services start coming in my direction. It all sorted out in the end. It's a long story, but it just goes to show how people can be so cruel. I'd never ever do that to anybody. I can honestly tell you that. To report somebody to the social services who sometimes do really well in saving children, but also equally it can almost be like another racket, taking people's children away, when it's just like, instead of trying to support, say for example, vulnerable mothers who are on their own and stuff like that, they're just a target sometimes to these people. Anyway, forced adoption, all that stuff, I don't know, I've heard a lot about it. It's just horrible. Anyway, don't forget, me and my sister were in care as well once, so I was very sensitive about that, and I was very disgusted, and to this day I don't know who that person was. But who knows what goes on in a person's mind. Anyway, I am talking too much, I've realised that, and it's going to bore everyone. They're going to say, who are you? Not like Beyonce or anyone. I'm going to stop recording. I'm going to go back home. I'm going to at some point upload this, but that's another job in itself because I'm not very good at these things. Please subscribe to my channel like I've asked before. From what I've heard, subscriptions are key. They are what count. Yes, views, yes, watching hours, I think watching hours as well, but particularly subscriptions. So if you don't mind hearing me rant occasionally and would like to support this channel so that maybe one day I can have a little stream of income from YouTube and YouTube can help me, that'd be really nice. Equally, if you have any job ideas for me, or you know somebody that would like somebody that is good with people and can work maybe online or in some way, let me know. Especially if it's in a hot country, although I can't leave totally because I've still got some responsibilities here. But I could temporarily go here and there, couldn't I? I could like just go and come back. And I do want to encourage you. I'm sorry I haven't been very encouraging today. What I do encourage you is in this. Maybe do what I'm doing. Get a camera, get a phone. It's my phone I'm using. And to talk about some of this stuff, it's probably better than spending however much an hour hiring a professional. Let's talk to each other. See you later. Have a great day. Bye.